Hello, everybody. Happy August 17th, 2020. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is a special Connecticut Sports Talent Show right here that you can see on YouTube and any other social media platform out there in the world. These three coaches I have, and I'll be introducing them in a second, are part of a roundtable discussion talking about not just the CIAC, but also how things have been going about with the virus, the players themselves, the staff, the whole nine yards. I'll introduce each and every one of them first. Coach Anthony Salvati from Guilford. Coach, say hello.
Hey, Chris. How you doing, guys? Hey, Coach. How are you guys? Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Next, I have Coach Jason Bakoulis from NFA. Coach, say hello.
Hey, Chris. How you doing? Appreciate you having us on here. Great to be part of this group.
And also have anybody, but I had to get the NVL great Pete Flammia from Waterbury Career Academy, because you know what? It's always great when you got Pete in a group. Pete, say hello.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be around these guys. Maybe pick their brain, learn a little something.
Hey, we can all learn something. I mean, I think what we've all dealt with, and the reason why I wanted to get this roundtable discussion going is because what has been going on between not just the CIAC and we're playing, we're not playing, we're playing, oh, we're not going to play, then we will play, but now we're going to pause. And we'll get into that and how each and every one of you have been kind of going about that. But also, too, the mental aspect as far as with the players and how they're preparing and then having to pause workouts and just kind of what they've been dealing with. And first, I'll start off with Coach Salvati from Guilford. Coach, I think the first thing I want to ask you is, how did you go about when things started to come about with the CIAC, when they said the season was on? How did you go about that?
I instantly messaged my team on Huddle, say, let's go. We're going on the 17th, and the texts back were immediate. Normally you text a high school kid and you wait half hour, sometimes 3-4 hours. But these were automatic. Like, it was like bang, bang, bang. Everyone was pumped. It was like almost like a New Year's Eve celebration. And then, unfortunately, we kind of got the other side of it the day later. So, yeah, I think everyone's reaction at first was ecstatic. Like, all right, let's go,
Was it the same for you, Coach Bakoulis?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same. I mean, we were obviously anticipating what was going to happen. We were planning for the fall. We were saying, guys, we got to be ready for that. We don't know what will happen. You're hearing things that are happening in other states, going all the way back to June. And we were always ready, preparing ourselves when we weren't together, preparing at home, doing your own thing. And obviously when we got the information from our athletic director, and it was, August 17th was going to be the OTAs, and gave the plan. We had a Zoom team meeting, and we outlined all the schedule and the steps. And the guys were excited. We got to see them at workouts, and they're excited. But as Coach said, the roller coaster began after that. But up until that point, it was, let's go. We're ready.
And P, I know for you, because of how many players that you lost from the previous season, I know just trying to keep that energy and trying to keep the players just coming to any sort of workouts, I know has been difficult. So I'm sure for you, just hearing that there was at least somewhat going to be a formulated plan, you had to be encouraged.
Yeah, I mean, we tried, we got the okay on July 6th to actually start doing some in-person stuff like everybody else, but the city kind of held us back a little bit on that, the city of Waterbury. So we had to wait a little bit, and with that waiting, our numbers were less and less. So we kind of stopped it. And then when we heard that it was going to be, all right, let's go on the 17th, actually everybody started showing up. So we kind of kicked it into gear on Monday of last week, and we met, we were meeting 3 times. Monday kind of got messed up because nobody had power here in Waterbury, thanks Eversource. And, and so that kind of got messed up. Not a lot of kids, but Wednesday and Friday of last week, we had our full squad, which isn't a large group of kids, but our full squad was there, and they were ready to go. And then Friday afternoon, I said, listen, they're having a meeting, so check Huddle. And, had to give them the bad news. They were pushed back a week. And, it's tough. It's tough to have kids ready to go. Like all the coaches have kids ready to go, and then you got to tell them no, and to get everybody back on the same page, to get going again. When you told them yes, then no, then yes, then no again, it's gonna be tough, but we'll get through it.
And that's, I think, something too that a lot of people maybe lose sight of is even though the plan is set where you have to be 6 feet apart, but the workouts are kind of structured in somewhat the same way. And I think both for each and every one of you to be able to kind of put yourselves and be able to formulate a plan to be able to have the workouts set for the particular players that you have. Now, I'll start off with Coach Salvati from Guilford. I think the way that you kind of structured your workouts, and I saw some of it on Twitter and such, I thought it was pretty cool how you were kind of being able to keep the players engaged, especially during a difficult time with the workouts.
Yeah, you know what? We were in a very similar circumstance where, July 6th came and the CIEC says, yeah, you can work out. But our school district, they kind of said, no, we want you to hold off till August 3rd. So we luckily were fortunate enough to have a couple outside sources come in there and train the kids on their own at the field a couple days a week. And then as the next step, the next phase opened up, we were actually able to get in there August 3rd and start doing a little bit ourselves, out in the field in the small groups. But I have to say, the senior leadership on our team has kind of driven the training. I popped down there last week just to watch, and we had 42 kids out there, which, last year we finished with 35 on the entire roster. So, we had 42 kids out there training. Meanwhile, we still had other kids at baseball and lacrosse that we were probably missing. So the fact that we had that many kids out there on their own working and, dedicated, even with the season in limbo at that point is, for us, it's a huge, huge motivation for us to be ready and excited to get ready to go. But, we tried to do things a little bit differently this year with our training, especially in the summertime. Obviously, we can't really access the weight room. That's a big part of our training normally in the off season. So we concentrated more on speed and agility. Speed kills. I learned that a long time ago. So, the people that were in charge, we had, groups of 15 and they had some, speed work, agility work. And, the seniors really took reins and kind of ran that stuff for them as well. So, we're fortunate enough to get the training we did get in there.
Now, Coach Bakoulis, question for you, kind of like the same situation where I know that a lot of your players were coming back, and I think the biggest part was you were bringing back a quarterback who played late in the season due to the fact that you lost a lot of quarterbacks due to injury the previous season. So do you think being able to kind of have that returning at the time when you found out that the season at least was being played, it kind of at least gave you a little bit less stress?
Yeah, I mean, for us, actually, this year we were going to have spring ball for that factor. Some of the guys, we do have some returning guys, but we graduated 28 seniors. So, we lost a lot of players, had a lot of skill guys, that we have coming back and, had a little bit of snaps during the season. But, again, they weren't there. And then our entire offensive line, with the exception of two guys, they're graduating. So just get an opportunity for guys to just get together, have coaching. So when school got shut down in March, we kind of were hoping that, well, we'll be back. And just like everybody, we'll be back. A couple of weeks, we'll be back. A couple more weeks, we'll be back. And then when the spring season got shut down, that's when we knew, we're going to lose spring ball. And, then you're hoping for those summer opportunities, the passing leagues, those type of things where guys can get out there and start to gel. And then, those things start to fall apart and, they're no longer happening. So for us, it's just a matter of getting guys out on the field. And get them together. And, what was great about it, and as both coaches have said, is just the excitement the kids had to get back out there. I think that's the best part about it. When you talk about the mental state of these kids, I'm just proud of them and the hunger that they have to want to get back out and play football and to train. I mean, we're not in the weight room either. So, it's a lot of running, and you ask a teenage kid like, hey, you're going to go for an hour and you're doing agility, you're doing other things, but you're basically going to be on the field for an hour in the summertime without a football in your hands, and most teenage kids are going to be like, okay, coach, I'm not going to be there, but they were there. I mean, they were consistent. Guys were coming every single day. It was hot out. It was raining out. We go in cohorts. So we're only allowed, again, that 8 to 10 guys. And we only have 5 cohorts going at a time for an hour slot. We have 4 on the field, and then we have a small grass section. So we can only have 5 at a time. And so what happens is our first one's 6 a.m. So we actually have, close to 30 guys that come, 25 guys that come at 6 a.m. and they go to 7 a.m. And then we got another slot coming at 7:30. And then we have another one at 9. And then we have an evening one. But, you look at the guys, they're getting up early, they're getting there, they're committed, they're working hard. It's inside. The clock went off inside of them. They said, I'm supposed to be preparing for football. It's time for me to play football. let me get out on this field and work. And just proud of how they've handled all this. I mean, in my opinion, they've handled this better than some of the adults in the world and how they're handling it. These guys are following every safety thing we give them. Masks on, the parking lots we use, waiting by their cars, getting their temperatures checked. Every little detail they have listened to and they have followed. Even the 6 feet part, occasionally we'll have, a couple guys get excited about something. They'll get close. Our athletic trainer's out there and she, right away will recognize it. But, they're just, the guys they want to be there and they're going to follow every guideline to be safe. So that way they can continue to do it, and that's what makes this latest decision so difficult because the kids haven't done anything wrong. They've done everything right. They've done everything that's been asked of them and above and beyond, and I don't know. I just want to see them back out there. That's for sure.
Are you surprised, Coach Bakoulis, that they've handled it? I can't believe that, I'm glad that you said it, that the players are handling this situation better than a lot of adults. Are you surprised by that? And do you think that going forward, regardless, and I hope that there's football, I hope there's sports, because I think the mental aspect, we'll get to that later, how that's been truly affected. But do you think that because of everything that's going on, this could help them in the future as far as when they continue to grow as young men?
Oh, that's no doubt about that. I'm sure both these guys can attest to that. What's crazy too is I'm also a teacher, so you can sit in a teacher's lounge or just those moments where you're sitting there with maybe other adults and they're like, this generation of kids, they're lazy, they're always in their phone, they don't really care about anything else besides themselves. And then what ends up happening is we have a pandemic where now these kids have to lock in. They have to be completely focused on themselves. It's a lot of self-motivation in their lives. And to see how these guys have responded, proves to me that they have what it takes to be successful later in life. And we keep telling them that after almost every workout. We're like, guys, what you're going through right now in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and maybe even less than that, 4 years, you're going to get hit with a moment of adversity and you're going to be like, this is nothing compared to what I just had to go through in 2020, and you're going to be able to overcome all those obstacles. So, yeah, I mean, these kids, they definitely are proving a lot to everyone in the world that they can handle this and just their overall strength and their ability to overcome adversity. It's impressive. It's great to be part of.
Now, I will say, though, Coach Bakoulis, I think Pete has you beat as far as the amount of players he lost, because Pete basically lost his entire team, especially one of the top players in Connecticut, Jalen Gopi, who we mentioned prior to starting this interview. And Pete, I know you could say exactly how many players you lost, but just kind of dealing with the fact that you lost so many players, kind of going into what has been a very stressful offseason and such, kind of how has that been going about?
Well, I mean, we lost one of the best players in the state, I think, and a couple of other guys that were, very, very good players. We lost pretty much our whole offensive line. We lost, obviously, our running back. We lost our quarterback. We lost our whole defensive front seven. You know what I mean? So we're going into it where we need to rebuild, and guys need to step up. A lot of those guys did have time last year in some key spots. We played some big games, so they got some time out there. But just being on the field and like Coach was saying, both coaches are saying, just being together is something that I've been really impressed with over the last couple days, couple weeks. Our senior leadership, Gerald Council, has stepped up. Joan Mawap has stepped up, and even our juniors, Carlos Cali. These guys have stepped up and they started to run practices on their own, which is something that we haven't had before. Even with the highly talented players that we've had, this group is, like Coach said, they're going to have to look back on this, and they're going through it right now. They're going through some stuff that none of us have ever gone through. And I couldn't imagine being a high school kid and going through this right now. I'm 36 years old with a 2-year-old daughter at home, and I'm losing my mind every day. You know what I mean? So, just like we've all said, the emotional roller coaster. Are we going to play? Are we not going to play? Is it safe to play? What about, am I going to bring it home to my daughter? Am I going to bring it home to my father that lives upstairs? You know what I mean? And coaches with me, that emotional roller coaster. I can't imagine being a high school kid and going through that right now. But they're doing a good job. They really are. We've had the last couple of days of conditioning there. Like I said, we had our whole team, and that's something that we didn't have even before. Even last year, we didn't have that. So hopefully it turns into something good for all of us. And like Coach said, these guys are going to look back on this, and I would say I hope next year they're looking back on this and saying, because it's over with, saying, wow, we went through it, and let's never have this happen again, and let's do what we need to do to move forward to make sure that everybody's healthy and that we never have to go through not having a season, not having a senior year, so on and so forth.
Sorry.
To both of your points, like all these players, they're doing everything that's asked of them, like Coach said earlier. But with that, we've been training for since July 6th, most of the teams out there. And if you look at the numbers in Connecticut, there hasn't been a rise or a spike. So I think that's what's making it more frustrating from a kid or a coach's standpoint. They've done everything you've asked, and now this is taken away from them. Even if it's for a short period of time, it's still, emotionally, they're like, well, they're looking to us for guidance. Like, well, coach, they said if we did this, this, and this, we'd be able to play, or we might be able to play. And I think it's hard for them, a 15, 16-year-old kid, to understand, you said that we'd be able to play if we did this, and they're doing all the right things. And now sometimes you have to look them in the eye and say, you're right. There is no right or wrong answer. You're doing everything right. It's just where we are right now. We just got to roll with the punches, unfortunately.
I think, sorry to cut you off there, Chris. I think you're completely right. And I think and I'm talking as a teacher now, because I'm a teacher too. It may have been a misstep to say, listen, we're going to start on this date. Yes. And then you move it back. How can we play football and do all these things when, I don't know about you guys as teachers, but I don't even know what's going on next week for professional development when we start next week. And then we want to put scheduling football games and volleyball games and soccer and everything on top of that. Maybe they should have just said, hey, we're going to wait a little bit, and then, schedule everything, make sure that school opens up right and everything like that. And then move forward, which I think it will. I think we'll be fine, because like you said, the numbers aren't going up, but to put it on these high school kids and they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing, and then it gets shut down, that's a problem. That's a problem.
I think you're seeing that with New York, if I'm not mistaken, even New Jersey. They're starting later. Okay, they want to wait till they get back into school before they start. Right. And I think if that was said from the beginning, like, listen, we have this plan in place to continue conditioning, continue OTAs, but we're not even going to think about pads or getting into any type of contact until we know we're 2 weeks into school already and we see if there's any type of increase. I think kids would understand that, and they deal with it. They're more resilient than people give them credit for, especially at this day and age. You can't really lie to a kid; they see right through it. And unfortunately, they're seeing things that they're being told one thing and then something else happens. So, right or wrong, you got to do what's safe for them. And I can't go with. You have to agree with what's going on as far as the timetable and the delay, but it's hard to look a kid in the face and tell them, listen, you did everything right, but we still got to hold off here.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like my biggest hope is that when they do meet this week, and I know you guys said it's Thursday, it's supposed to be the meeting, but is that they do look at what coaches had been doing with conditioning. And I'm sure it's exactly the same thing with you guys. I mean, the organization that goes into it, and that's what, I remember there was a tweet someone put out, or retweeting it all over the place, how a teacher made a comment about football coaches, and really they're not educators. They're just, a lot of guys were passing that around, and it cracks me up because I just think about how coaches have taken this, and this isn't just football coaches, this is any sport, and they've taken this opportunity of a conditioning program, and the number one priority was, this is a chance for my kids to get outside their houses and to have bigger purpose. And then from there, it went straight to the whiteboards, to whatever it is, your organizational tool that you have on your computer, and you're building your groups, you're building, your layout of practice, the actual workout plan, where you're going to stand, what yard line, you're going to be on the top of the numbers, bottom of the numbers. Every little detail went into preparing so that these kids could be out there and be safe. I hope that conversation is going to be had on Thursday, that look, like, they're not just out on fields running around, and whatever happens. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of detail that goes into making sure that these kids are safe and the coaches are safe, so to me, the opportunity to be able to just get back out there and train, I mean, we got to have that chance.
I think all great points by each and every one. Each and every one of you. I think and that's why I had you guys come on, because each of you have a different perspective on certain things because of the conferences and such. But you guys view the situation, I think, how a lot of coaches in Connecticut do. And I think a word that the CIAC has used quite frequently, is fluid. I heard Coach Longarini mention that a lot. The situation is fluid. Each hour, each day, each second it could change. And I think the report that came out last week, and I know each and every one of you, follow college football, when you had the doctor from the Big Ten saying that it could potentially affect the heart. And I think and they mentioned about inflammation, and there were other factors too. And I'm not a doctor, so I don't know all the big fancy words that they used. But the point I'm trying to make is I wonder, and this is a question I'm going to ask Longarini tomorrow when I interview him at 6:00, is that did that report that came out, because once that came out, they stopped as far as football is concerned in the fall. The Pac-12 stopped, and the other three conferences in the Power Five are going to continue as of right now. I know that the SEC just came out with schedules, and they're going to come out with the full one later tonight. But I wonder if that doctor who came out from the Big Ten, if that kind of created a situation where now you had the CIAC start thinking, wait, if this is affecting the college level, could this very well trickle down, and then that will affect us?
You want to know what is it? Does it have to be a politically correct answer, Chris, on what the fluid means?
Doesn't matter. I can hear
Well,
whatever.
I mean, listen, it's a CYA. Nobody wants to make a decision, because then if something goes wrong, they can say that, hey, we didn't really say yes or no or whatever. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that there's any real plan. There's no playbook to how to deal with this. We've never dealt with this. The last time the world has dealt with something like this was 1918. You know what I mean? So there's no real playbook here, but I think, and I might be speaking for all the coaches here, just make a decision. Just say something. Give us a concrete date that we can go with, and then we can plan around. Whether that's March or whether it's August. Give us something that's a specific date, and that'll help everything. That'll help everything, because then we could say, if it's March, hey guys, listen, we got to do this. This is why this is happening. We have to make sure school's opening. We have to make sure everybody's safe through school, and so on and so forth. Then we're going to get into basketball, and then we'll have time for football and this, that, and the other thing. Or it's, hey, we're starting on Monday the 24th. Make sure you guys wear your masks, and make sure you do everything. If there's an uptick or anything like that, you're getting shut down. And that's all there is to it.
Coach,
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think it's, we just need a clear-cut decision. And I know that, timelines for things and numbers could change, and all of a sudden we get a spike, or when school starts up, you get the spikes, right? We're seeing those in some of the other states. I do feel that Connecticut's going to do a great job of handling a return to school plan. I know just at NFA, the amount of time, and I'm sure it's the exact same at both your schools, the amount of time that's gone into planning just exits and entrances to buildings, to stairways, all those little details. I mean, a lot of work has gone into it. So I do feel very comfortable as a teacher, and I feel that we will do really well. I mean, you're going to get a case, but I don't think you're going to have, anything in a scary sense. But it goes back to, like, we know that those numbers are going to change. I just want a decision. It's above our grade as coaches. But at the end of the day, make the decision, and let's plan for it. As Coach just said, let's be able to talk to the kids and get them on board with what they need to do, and make sure they understand this is the next steps we'll take.
I couldn't agree with you guys more. I mean, to answer Chris's question though regarding, the CIAC looked at the college and Big Ten, and then made their decision. I'm not sure, but even if they did, if that was part of it, again, I think we all agree you can't compare a college program to a high school program, especially at this point. You're talking about, 5,000, 10,000 kids on campus, not even including your team. And then you're traveling state to state, playing other teams. Whereas, what Connecticut has talked about was a regionalized schedule, much less, numbers on campus, I just can't, if that was their reasoning for making the decision, I hope that they look into other sides of it too, because if you look at the Big Ten doctor that recommended, canceling the season, that's one thing. But if you look at the ACC doctor from Duke, he's saying go ahead and play, and Duke's a pretty renowned, school as far as, what they're capable of there. So I think if you ask three different doctors, you might get three different answers, because this is such a fluid situation and there is no hardcore concrete evidence at this point.
I think too, to add to all that is, I mean, football, when you sign up to play football, you're putting yourself at risk for a lot of things, and it's a physical sport. And, first day you do it, you and your parents, it's a decision, no one forced anybody to play football. And that's with any sport, so I think families, going back to coaches, you said, the CYA, again, families are going to make that decision. Are you going to play this year or not? And that's a discussion that the child and the parents and the families need to have. If there's a kid that's a high risk kid, or a family member that's a high risk family member, and they can't risk it, it's the same decision they're making with school. Are they going to go back to school, or are they going to stay at home and do distance learning? I think that conversation is going to occur as well. I haven't come across any in our program, but I'm sure across the state and then in other states, there have been kids who have opted out for this season because of those concerns. But it's part of the game, and we got to do everything we can to be as safe as possible. But obviously, the game itself is going to have its risks.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Coach, because at my parent meeting the other night, one of the questions from the parents was, well, if I had the choice to send my kid back to school, why can't I have the choice of saying I want my kid to play football? And I looked at him, I'm like, well, that's a good point. Obviously they're your kids. You should honestly have the last say, but again, it's, it is kind of a CYA thing, as far as the health department and CIAC goes. So I can't fault them for making the decision that they made, but again, from a parent standpoint, that's a good question for them to ask.
No, that's a big thing, is that parents and players are asking us a lot of questions that we don't have the answers to. And that's another thing, you know what I mean, as far as the communication and the change in the dates and things like that, and not having a specific set of guidelines that we have to follow, except for, the COVID checklist and everything like that. But, not having a specific date, not having specific answers, whether it's from a district or from the CIAC, that's tough for us to answer, because we're starting before school starts. Even the 24th, we're starting before kids are in the classroom and everything like that. So we're kind of the front line, and we have to have answers to these questions, and we don't. And that, I think that's a big issue as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of speaks to what 2020 has been as far as with this virus. I mean, we don't know. I mean, I've told you, P, and I think I've told you, Coach Bakoulis and Coach Salvati as well, when we've talked, we know very little about this virus even now. We're 5-6 months, something like that, since we first figured this out in March. And we still, it seems like every day we find out less, because we're finding out more information. I've seen that the doctors put out, okay, there's, I think, what was it, last week, there was like 8 new symptoms, which I found out a month ago or 2 months ago. It was like, oh, if you have pink eye, you have COVID. It's like, okay, well, and then there's like X, Y, and Z and all these other things. But the point I'm trying to make is, I think, I could understand the CIAC with their decision as far as trying, because I think, again, this is just my opinion, I think Longarini and the staff, they want the kids to play. I don't think that they're out to get them. I don't think they're like, oh, let's try to make sure, let's ruin these kids' lives. I don't think they're trying to do that. And I commend them, because I'm the kind of guy that wants solutions. I think there's a solution to everything. And I think that there's a way to play and have them play. So they're trying to do that. But at the same time, they're also kind of stepping in mud every which way, because it seems like when they put one step forward, then there's a problem with either new information or something comes out. I mean, do you guys feel that same way? I'll start with Coach Salvati.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I get the impression that Longarini and the CIAC, they're doing the best they can to get us on the field safely. I think that the guidelines and protocols they put out was a nice start. I thought how they implemented that, with the conditioning, with the non-contact, with the, not even using a ball for the first week or so, obviously, and then progressively slowly, but again, making sure that there's no type of contact or even full pads until September 11th, when kids are back in school. I think that's a step in the right direction if we are going to get on the field in the fall. So I do think the CIAC is doing everything they can, or they want us to get us on the field as best and as safe as possible. But you're right. I mean, have things been handled perfectly? No. And I think we can all agree to that. And I think they would probably admit to that too. But again, they're human and they're probably learning just as much, on the fly as we are. So you can't fault them. I just hope that there is some type of solution that says, hey, we're going forward or we're going to push back to March,
Coach Bakoulis?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I'm not mad at the CIAC. I'm not, freaking. That's why for me, I kind of stayed off Twitter because I know some people are very angry, which I understand that side of it because I'm what angers me is just having it, as both coaches said, having to say to the team, guys, we're shut down. And Friday we had an evening session about to happen in an hour, and you have to send out the message on huddle saying, guys, this is shut down. And that definitely frustrates you as a person, as a coach, and someone who cares about people. But for me, I really thought the plan was great because it did what we were asking, right? It built that process. We were in cohorts. We technically, as Coach said, September 11th, that's really where you were in football practice. So we weren't, it wasn't August 17th or August 24th. There was a process to get there, and it was a very controlled, cohort-based process. So, I really thought it was a phenomenal plan. We weren't just jumping right in and going 100 miles an hour. And you get a good tell on where we were with the schools and obviously with those increased cohort sizes as we progress with the longer time too, because they increase the amount of time we could be out on the field. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely not an easy decision. As we're saying, everyone's learning from this. We're hopefully all improving because of it. And I just want the kids to have any opportunity to do more than just sit in their houses. I mean, I've spoken to too many players who are just stuck in a room or stuck in their house and not even able to go outside. And we had guys that I talked to, and they're like, Coach, I can't even go on my front steps to get fresh air. And for me, when we opened up our strength and conditioning program, when the state allowed that, the kids were able to go to that because their family said, well, that's a school sanctioned event, so it must be safe. So the parents trusted us to be, allow their kids to come, and they allowed the kids to get out of their houses. And, I know we're seeing a lot with mental health right now. And for me, just giving the kids anything, let's go back. If we have to just go back to what we were just doing with the hour, the small cohorts, that's better than nothing. Let's give them something positive because you never want to hear that kids are sitting in their house, but also too, you don't want to hear the kids just lose all hope and say, well, I'm just going to go down this road and the road that we don't want to even talk about. And that's the other thing, but that's connected to this too.
Pete?
I mean, that's a great point right there. The kids did nothing wrong, and we've talked about this already. The kids did nothing wrong, and nothing changed from last week to this week as far as numbers or anything like that. So I guess that's the frustrating part. And I agree 100%. The CIAC isn't doing this on purpose. But I hope that it's not becoming a political thing. We got enough politics in all of our lives and everything like that, where sports is, for our high school kids, sports is not a political thing. Everybody comes together. Everybody gets together. Everybody's the same color to color your jersey. You know what I mean? All that stuff is extremely important. And again, they did nothing wrong to have it stop this week. And the progression that the CIAC put out, like Coach Salvati said, it was great to follow. That was extremely detailed. That was great. We were able to make practice plans based on that. We're ready to go for the next month, whatever. And then nothing happens and we're stopped. That's the frustrating part. And like Coach said, that allows the kids, it allows the kids' minds to start going like, hey, is this ever going to happen? Hey, is it even worth it to come back? So on and so forth. And, where we are in an inner city, these kids need to be out on the football field. They need to be there. They need to be with us. Some of them don't have the parental figures in their lives and they need a little extra, you know what I mean? So it's extremely important. And I don't think that part of it is being looked at.
I know, I agree. I think, and we only have a couple minutes left, so we're not going to be able to hit too much on the mental side. So I'm going to each ask you guys one question about that. But I think, I've seen a lot of the posts from various, people in the media. I will not give names because I do not want to call anybody specifically out. I think it's a group thing, which is they're kind of, and I can see why Coach Bakoulis is staying away from Twitter because a lot of times you have to bite your tongue. And I think I give a lot of people credit because they have, but I think they're not they're not looking at the mental health aspect. They're kind of just seeing one side or the other. You're wrong, you're right. If you're wrong, you're the worst person. Here's why. If you're right, then it's basically that. But I think the mental health of the young, both men and women, both not just athletes, but overall, for what they've dealt with, I think needs to be talked about more. And I know Morelli mentioned the mental health, but that really didn't get a lot of carry. This was maybe about a month ago, maybe less. So I think it's time where if football is not played in the fall, or it's pushed to the spring, or there's no sports entirely, I think the mental health aspect needs to be the center point, because at the end of the day, if the schools end up going to virtual, because we all know at some point they will, because there will be a spike, I think that needs to be the focus, because at the end of the day, the kids are the main concern. So, Vadi, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that's, it hasn't been talked about enough, to be honest with you, some of the mental states. And, listen, even from young adults, even a normal adult, people struggle with mental health and issues all the time. And, now you're asking a 15, 16-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid to, kind of not be around his friends or his peers or her friend or peers. And, that's when it starts to get a little scary, or, I'm talking from our team, we might have a couple kids that might be their way out. They might not have some of the problems of some of the inner city kids maybe, but they have different issues. They have different problems, and football's a way out for a lot of people. Like you guys said, football, you're one color, it's that color of the jersey you wear. So listen, you might have a different issue in one side of the state, another team might have a different issue, but the mental part of it, whether you're, rich, poor, whatever the case is, that's a legit issue. The numbers don't lie that suicide rates are starting to go up, depression's starting to go up, and I'm not saying football is the savior to that, but sports in general can help kids, through situations and tough times. We always preach family, as far as a football team goes, and without your family around you, sometimes you're more susceptible to fall into those holes and those traps. So,
Coach, before I get to you, Coach Bakoulis, real quick, I just want to piggyback of what Coach Salvati said. I was reading the Washington Post today, kind of prepping for the interview tomorrow with Lungarini, and I found this to be alarming. There was a study, and there has been a study since 2007, which is the study of the Great Recession. Since then, every percentage that has gone up, every percent that goes up for unemployment, 1.6% increase in suicide rate. And you can, think about the amount of unemployment that's been going on right now amongst just parents, which that trickles down in the family because the kids are basically at home because they can't be around anybody else. Coach Bakoulis, I go to you.
Yeah, like this is the stuff that freaks me out, about all this is just where fortunately we have a Zoom tonight with our team just to do a culture meeting. And so I'll have a chance to see them like this on a screen, but as you guys know, it's not the same, but that's what freaks me out is like, where are my guys right now? What are they doing? What's their mind like right now? And the thing for me is like, just the simplest thing, right? You're at your workout and you have a certain cadence that you follow, whether it be at the start of your warm up, or if you count out your jumping jacks, or you have a certain clap that you do, right? That little thing, right? It's not even really part of the big scheme of your hour time, but that little thing that can be part of a bigger picture. It's not just them at their house on their cell phone, because if they're at their house on their cell phone, right, and they're scrolling through social media, which most of them probably are, right? At this point, it's just a lot of negativity coming through, or risk behaviors. I'm a health teacher, so we talk a lot about this. They're just seeing, drugs, alcohol, sex, dangerous behaviors, all that stuff. When they come to sports and they're around mentors, right, who are telling them the right things to do in life and correcting them on bad behaviors and coaching them up, like kids love that. All of us, we love to be told, hey, all right, hey, do it better. You were wrong here. This is how you can improve. As much as we want to fight that when it happens to us, at the end of the day, if we didn't have it for long enough, we would lose our minds. And so I think that for me, again, take football out of the picture, right? And let's just be able to give these kids purpose, right? Sitting at home is not purpose. There's no purpose. So take whatever it is that we decide to do, give these kids purpose. And if it's for me right now, for athletes, athletes are like Ferraris, right? You don't put a Ferrari in your garage, and then when you drive it, you only drive it 10 miles an hour. All right, an athlete needs to run, right? They need to be put the gas pedal to the floor and go. You know, they need to work. They need to feel sweat. They need to feel that discomfort in your muscles. They need that. You know, that's part of our makeup as athletes. We need to have that feeling of complete exhaustion, and then tomorrow I'm coming back, or the next day I'm coming back and I'm doing it again. You know, that's going to help, obviously, the athletes. And then, obviously, the kids in school who aren't athletes, you know, what can we do to give them more purpose besides just school? Because school's going to wear them down too. Because if you're a high achiever and you're not meeting the grades because you don't get to see your teacher every single day because you're following this on and off schedule, right? What's going to allow you to keep your sanity, because you're putting yourself against the impossible? You're trying to get straight A's, but it's almost impossible with that situation. So you're creating stress. And sadly, those kids get forgotten probably more than all the other kids, the low achievers. And then obviously the low achievers, you know, the kids who aren't able to accomplish what they need to accomplish because they need that in person, you know. But again, across the board, take football, take sports out of it. How do we give these kids some purpose, some mental stimulant to allow them to keep pushing through each day with the hope that it's gonna better days are to come, right? The sun's gonna be at the end of the tunnel.
Pete?
How am I supposed to follow that? How am I supposed to follow that?
I mean, hey, I have to admit, Coach Bakoulis over here, I don't know about you two, and I'm not trying to get political here, but is there any way I could put him on the ticket for 2020, please?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Because, I mean, hey, you got my vote. You got my vote.
Just real quick off of what Coach said, just giving the kids purpose. So if we get pushed to March, let us still be able to practice. Let us still be able to do things. Let us still be able to meet with the kids, and, you know, let us be able to do things in person with the kids and all that stuff. I think that's extremely important if it gets pushed to March. And if it doesn't, let the season play out. Baseball's letting the season play out. Let the season play out. Shut a team down for a week if you need to, whatever it may be. But we have to look at what's going to be good for the whole here, not what's good for just one person. And I think that's the most important thing that we need to look forward to moving forward.
And that's the
other than can't follow what he just said. I'm not gonna try.
I think that's the biggest difference, guys. When you look at when this virus first hit, if you remember March 12th, when the sports world stopped, everybody was panicking. If one person got it, everything literally shut down. One player shut down the entire world, the Utah Jazz player. But now, a couple months later, the way we view the virus is a little bit different. Now it's okay. If someone tests positive, he or she quarantines for 14 days. They do contact tracing, and then they move on. I mean, Major League Baseball, I get it. You can critique the Marlins. The Marlins are somehow in first place with basically the janitor and a bunch of me's pitching out there. I'm being facetious. But the point I'm trying to make is the way we view the virus is so much differently. As far as if someone gets sick, there's much more, I think, readiness. I think that's the correct word. Being prepared to be able to handle it. I think if I remember right, and correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there a Greenwich player last month who tested positive, and then all the other players in his workout area did not test positive, but they didn't panic. They didn't shut everything down. They handled the protocols the correct way.
Yeah, I remember that. I think maybe it was Greenwich. It was somewhere in that FCAC area, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right, Chris. I mean, we've come a long way in the past 5 months to a degree. Like if someone were to test positive now, like you said, you quarantine them. You know, hopefully it's not a major case, and it's mild enough where you can quarantine them for 14 days. But even now, just over the weekend with the breaking news of this saliva detect that a Yale doctor came up with, it's like a $10 test now, which just makes it more accessible to start testing these players and kids in general, or people in general. So if there is someone that is infected by it, hopefully you can figure out the trace of it and you quarantine them, and maybe you don't have to shut down the whole school or whole district anymore.
President Bakoulis, I go to you.
Big shoes to fill now.
I know, right? Oh man. No, I mean too. I mean the kids take it more serious now too. I mean everyone. I shouldn't say the kids. Like myself, everyone is taking it, especially in the state of Connecticut. We saw how nasty this can be, and I think people are taking it more serious. I remember going to the store and some people had masks on, some didn't. You walk in kind of like, do I wear a mask in here now or not? Now, if you don't have a mask on, you kind of get looked at a little bit differently. when you go into a store, because everyone has one on. A couple people may or may not, but for the most part, I think everyone understands we got to do our part, and the kids understand that and they take it serious. Like I said, when our kids arrive, they're masks are on, they're keeping their distance. You would think they would run over to each other's cars and be talking, but they're doing what they're supposed to do. And I think that because of that, it's helped. Like you guys are saying, you maybe get one case, but it didn't spread, and I think that that's important, that we have a better understanding ourselves of how to eliminate or reduce the risk of the spread.
It's become part of our coaching rhetoric every day. Instead of run to the field, get your cleats on, you're late, this, that, and the other thing, it's put your mask on. Stay away from each other. So, you know what I mean? So it's becoming a normal thing, and the kids will adapt to it just like we had to, and we just got to make sure to stay on them for it, and that's all. They'll be fine.
Guys, we've just about run out of time, but you know what? I really do appreciate you. I thought this was a lot of fun. The inaugural first Coaches Roundtable, I thought it went very well. Each and every one of you gave a lot of insight. We learned a lot. We figured out that Coach Bakoulis is now the president, 2020. Put him on the ticket.
President Roundtable.
And now you're nominated to go speak to the health department.
Yeah. There we go. Hey, if it's for the kids to be, I'd do it. I mean, hey, give these kids an opportunity. That's what we're here for. I know that's what you guys are here for, and
absolutely,
that's why we do it.
And 100%. I commend each and every one of you. I think, I see what you guys, not so much Coach Bakoulis because he doesn't go on Twitter anymore, but just by talking, I text back and forth with you every now and again. Same thing with Coach Salvati. Pete, I annoy the heck out of every day with certain things, both about sports and school, because he's a teacher. My girlfriend's a teacher. So if I don't understand what she's saying, I just go to him and ask him. But you know what? I think being able to kind of have this, being able to talk and being able to share different opinions and thoughts, I think is nothing but healthy, especially for what we're dealing with and potentially what could be a season or no season, which we'll find out soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I appreciate
Coach.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Everybody else, thank you as well.
Yep.
Now wrap things up in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, special edition, the Coaches Roundtable. So until next time, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.